What's going on, guys? It's your boy Ty, and today in this video we're going to be talking about the all-time classic movie that is Jurassic Park. So you might be wondering, why am I bringing up this movie out of the blue? Well, for those of you that don't know, just 2 short weeks ago, Jurassic Park turned 30. Yeah, guys, 3 decades. Whenever someone brings up like 1993, I'm thinking, oh yeah, maybe that's 20 years ago, 20 and change. Guys, we're at 30 years since 1993. I wasn't alive, but still, just thinking of that in my head gives you a weird perspective on time. See, the question that I want to ask today, which may seem a little bit controversial on the surface level, but we'll dive deeper into it, is whether or not Jurassic Park still holds up 30 years later. 30 years is a lot of time between the way technology has advanced and the way that we just picture things in our head and what we expect them to be. So looking back at this movie, is it still, a quality film? And see, the reason that I wanted to bring it up with this movie is because going back to that time period, 1994, a year after Jurassic Park, The Shawshank Redemption came out. That's a movie that I absolutely love. A lot of people say, it's the greatest movie of all time. I'm definitely with those people. It's up there, if not the best. But why would I be questioning a movie that came out just the year before? If that movie still holds up well, why wouldn't Jurassic Park? Well, that's the thing. That's the main focus of this video. Jurassic Park relies heavily, because of the nature of the film, on effects. Because it needs to bring back dinosaurs from 65 million years ago in the year 1993. Which at the time was a technological wonder. But in 2023, does it still look good? Is it still a quality movie? And that's the question that I want to get answered today. Does this movie still hold up? While I'm wearing my Jurassic Park t-shirt that I got from Universal Orlando. While you're at it, if you guys enjoyed this video, please consider dropping a like, drop a subscription if you want to stick around on the channel, and I want to hear your thoughts on this movie in the comments. I would love to hear what you have to say about this movie. But with that being said, let's dive right into this topic. Alright, so I kind of want to talk about 2 sides of this. First of all, we have the technical aspect of things with the effects, and on the other side, we have just the overall foundation, the structure of the movie, whether that's the story, the characters. In a way, you could look at it like a review. See, the thing with Jurassic Park on a conceptual level, and I'm referring to the park within the movie, not the actual movie, is that it's like a house of cards. A house of cards, when you're looking at it, looks great. It clearly took a lot of time, effort, and patience to get it to where it is, so that it looks as beautiful as it does. But the thing is, it's very fragile. The second you walk up to it and you just touch something, something's out of place, something isn't right, it's not in its perfect spot that it needs to be, it all comes crumbling down. See, the thing is, if we take a closer look at the, founder of Jurassic Park, John Hammond, he's the one that's trying to, get this park going, and that's why he's bringing in all the main characters to kind of get their opinion. He's looking at Jurassic Park with rose-colored glasses. He's looking at it with, the glass half full in a positive way, and he's saying, no, this can really work, and I know that all of you are going to agree with me. However, once you start getting these people that are looking at it logically and with their own morals saying, is this right? You start to see the cracks in the dam. See, the thing about the themes in this movie is that they're portrayed very well through what I would say is exposition. The characters are basically just talking about the themes in their own movie, which is something you don't usually see, but it makes sense within the context of them discussing whether this park is morally right to open. Should we be bringing back dinosaurs from 65 million years ago and just plopping them right alongside humans? Will Mother Nature eventually catch up to us and say, no, this is not happening under my watch, and have something go wrong? Foreshadowing, something goes wrong. It's just a very interesting concept, because usually exposition in movies doesn't work, but the way that this movie doesn't even use exposition to show what's going on, but literally talk about the very nature of what this movie is supposed to be talking about. It's just so impressive. And speaking of the people that are talking about these themes, this movie has a wide variety of really great characters that are all memorable and have excellent scenes individually. One thing I actually really like this movie does with the characters, which I noticed upon rewatch, is that the way they're introduced, it's not like, oh, hello, my name is blank. When they're first in a scene, they're kind of just shown, and you're kind of like, oh, who is this? And then slowly, over maybe a couple of lines of dialogue, maybe over the course of a scene, you kind of piece together who they are and what their role is within either the park or just the setting that they're in. And I think that's interesting because it's just a different take, and it kind of makes you more curious about the character and more about their background, maybe what their purpose is in this movie, like I said. See, we could talk about characters and themes all we want, but the story is really what drives this film at its core. Because the thing is, we kind of have two almost converging storylines. We have on one side all the investors, and we have our characters, our scientists, talking with John Hammond and saying, does this park seem right? See, on the other side of things, we kind of have like this secret corporate espionage thing going on where Nedry, the guy with the glasses, is stealing this dinosaur DNA to like sell to another company, something along those lines. At one point, these slowly kind of come together in a beautiful way, because once they meet, all hell breaks loose into the perfect storm. Because that's the thing, things are going well on both ends, and I think it's pretty ironic that I just said perfect storm, because a hurricane hits at the same time that Nedry was also trying to do his thing with like hacking the computers and trying to, offload his dinosaur DNA for like a lot of money. Those things are what just tore down the park. And even though nature wasn't directly responsible, it's just a little bit weird how it's like, this storm happened to come in, and that was partially the reason that everything did get messed up. And once you get to that moment where the T-Rex breaks out, that's where things get crazy, because now everyone's in danger. Nobody's safe. And on top of that, something this movie does nicely is that it separates all the characters. Not everybody's in one place. We have some people over here, some people over here, some people over here. And that creates a more dynamic story because you're able to do more with each of these characters being in different areas. Now that I've laid a little bit of a foundation here, and we're done talking about the foundation of the actual movie, I think it's time to talk about the technical aspects, which I guess you could say is the part that could become outdated. I was trying to think of what the best way to deliver my answer on this topic of whether or not Jurassic Park is outdated or not would be. But honestly, my explanation would just spoil it, so I think I need to just be upfront with you guys. Jurassic Park still holds up perfectly in the year 2023 and still looks better than most movies that come out in the modern day. Sorry guys, the cat is out of the bag. I just couldn't hold it in anymore because it would be weird if I was just raving about this movie, because then you wouldn't be wondering about what my answer would be. See, the thing that makes this movie so spectacular and believable from a technical standpoint is its amazing blend that's balanced of both practical effects and CGI. When it comes to the practical effects, for those of you that don't know this already, most of these dinosaurs were literally built. They're animatronics. Whenever you're in a scene with an animatronic dinosaur right there, it's so tense, it's so scary because they look so real. These animatronics are so incredibly detailed. They move so smoothly. Their skin, like their scales, is so incredibly engraved with like their little wrinkles. Their teeth are dirty. They look like they're ready to just tear anything apart at any second. They look dangerous, and teeth scare people, those are the things that are gonna end up killing you. In the future, I really do want to try to make scene breakdown videos, but one really great example of these animatronics being so incredibly detailed and feeling so unbelievably real is when, in the T-Rex breakout scene, everyone's in the car. The T-Rex comes right next to the driver's window, and it's not just sitting there, it's clearly not CGI, but its eye opens more, and it moves, and it looks real, and you could tell it's really there. That's the thing. Sometimes CGI just can't replace that. Another scene in the car that you could kind of say is the same thing is when the T-Rex first attacks the kids. It breaks down on that glass. For those of you that don't know, the glass was not supposed to break. So those kids were genuinely scared. You got a real reaction out of that scene because the T-Rex came down, I don't know if it was a mistake, broke the glass, and they're just holding onto it terrified like it's a real dinosaur, because it pretty much is at that point. It's just unbelievable that this was 30 years ago, and it makes you think, why do we get like no practical effects today? I just don't understand it. And I haven't even talked about the other dinosaur yet. The glooming threat that basically holds its head over this whole movie. That being the Velociraptor. See, the thing is, the Velociraptors aren't even in this movie that much. They're only in the last 25% of the movie, which I didn't notice until my last rewatch. The thing about the Velociraptors is that it's not necessarily on screen where they're so scary, it's more when they're off screen. How dangerous they are is teased even before we see our first dinosaur within this whole movie. Our first scene with Dr. Grant, he explains to that little chubby kid who's like, I'm not afraid of velociraptors, how they're just killing machines. They're smart, they're intelligent, they strategize on how to kill their victims. I mean, he explains that there will be a velociraptor straight in front of you that you're looking at, then out of nowhere, one comes right from the side, ambushes you, and just slices at your stomach, and then they eat you alive. If that isn't enough to scare you, even if you aren't thinking about it the whole movie, it just plants a little seed in the beginning that later down the line, once they actually show up, you're like, okay, things are getting serious. And then again, we're dropped with a little bit of suspense. Dr. Grant sees the little baby velociraptor climbing out of the egg, and he's like, whoa, you guys made velociraptors here? Even he's scared, and he doesn't seem like someone to be easily intimidated. That shows you what a threat they are to these characters once things actually break out. And then, for a third time, before we even see an adult velociraptor, we go to the paddock, and we watch it just tear apart, without actually seeing it, a cow that gets dropped in there, pulled back up, and there's just nothing left. That's scary. And Muldoon, like the guy who kind of runs the raptor paddock, he kind of just acts like, yeah, it's no big deal. I know how they operate. I'm smarter than them. But Mother Nature has other plans, because this kind of ties back to the themes of we can't play God here. We can't overrule these dinosaurs. They're ferocious. They'll take us over. And that's why later in the movie, once all hell breaks loose and Dern and Muldoon are walking by the paddock, you see those wires are ripped and the raptors escaped. That is utterly terrifying. And going back to the things that Spielberg specifically does, I have to give him his flowers, because the thing is, the potential dinosaur being there is almost scarier than the dinosaur being there. This is also done in Jaws, another film of his, which, was done 17 or so years earlier, where sometimes the fear of the shark is scarier than the shark actually being there, because there will be scenes where it's just silent. You're looking around in the water and your body's all tensed up. You're like, where's the shark? It could pop out at any second. That's how you know a movie's suspense is working. And how could I talk about suspense without appreciating how well Spielberg builds up to these dinosaurs? During the T-Rex breakout, before we even see a T-Rex, we just have everyone chilling in their cars. It's a hurricane, but it's okay. We're safe, right? But then that little cup of water starts vibrating, and you start to slowly but surely hear footsteps. That get increasingly louder, increasingly more intense. The camera glances over to the lamb that was there earlier. It's gone. Something ate it. From there, the wires snap relentlessly. They make these, I don't really know how to explain it, what the noise is, but it just sounds like metal just breaking apart. Then, there it is. The Tyrannosaurus Rex. The most unbelievably threatening piece of nature to be on the planet at that current time was right in front of these characters. And while I don't want to spend too long talking about all the suspense within this movie, I just need to bring up, first of all, the kitchen scene where the kids are running around, they're all sneaking, the way that it uses the metal. I know that sounds stupid, but everything in there is made of metal, which obviously makes sense because it's a kitchen, but it's like this cheap metal that you're scared for the characters, because every single time they lean on the metal, it kind of makes like a bending noise, which would alert the raptors to where they are. And since it's such a confined space, they have nowhere to go. That's just a scene where, oh God, it's amazing, guys. At a certain point, I almost feel like I can't even explain them. And I just want to say, guys, go watch the damn movie. I mean, when you see Laura Dern turning on those power switches, finally, she hits the last one. She's like,
Mr. Hammond, I think we're back in business.
Puts her back against the wall. Bam, we see her first raptor. Jumps out. You didn't even expect it at all. There it is. That's the suspense build-up that Spielberg does so well. This movie is so incredible. It's just an absolute marvel of its time. I really need to give it credit where credit's due. Does this movie still hold up 30 years later? Just to be crystal clear, yes, it does. This is a top 10 favorite movie of mine, possibly top 5. And I feel like, honestly, I don't want to act like this question was bait to try to get you to watch this video, but man, it's almost disrespectful to ask this question. And with that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know that I got a little bit off track, kind of with just talking about the movie generally as a whole, but at the same time, I just wanted to make this to appreciate one of my favorite movies 30 years later and talk about a film from one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, that being Steven Spielberg. Alright guys, thank you so much for tuning into this video. I love you guys so much. Please consider liking, subscribing. I want to hear your thoughts about this in the comments below. I respond to every comment, so thank you for watching. Love you guys, and I will see you in the next video.